Pack Attack is back. For anyone who's new, this is a series where the only way I can improve my team is by opening packs, and how I play with the team in ranked seasons determines how many packs I can open. If you're not new, welcome back. I know it's late in the year, but I've been wanting to bring this series back all the way from the start, and for whatever reason that just didn't happen. There was a while there where I thought at this point I may as well just not do it, but you know what? We've got plenty of year left to still have some fun with this series. I'm gonna call this one episode 0 because we're just gonna set up how the series is gonna work this year, and then at the end we're gonna open up one 10-pack bundle to determine how the team is gonna start in episode 1. So what we're gonna do for this series is I've attached a stub value to a bunch of different stats. As we accumulate those stats in a ranked seasons game, we'll be earning stubs. At the end of the game, those stubs will then be spent on packs, and then the players we pull from those packs, if they're an improvement to the team, will be the only way to improve the team throughout the series from game to game. So let's start with what those stats are, and we're going to start with pitching because if you watched last year, this is going to work a little bit differently than it did last year. So first off, every out we get will be worth 200 stubs. So basically every inning pitched will be worth 600 stubs. We're just breaking it down by out. And then every hit against, every walk allowed, and every hit batsman will all be worth negative 200 stubs. So that'll take away from our total that we accumulate. Every run against will then take away 500 stubs. But then back to positives, every strikeout on the mound will be worth 200 stubs. So basically a strikeout is worth double, because you get the out and the strikeout. Also, if we pick the guy off or if they're caught stealing, that'll also be worth 200 stubs. So that'll basically just reimburse however that guy got on base. Then if the game ends in a shutout, that'll be worth 1,500 stubs. And also if it's a complete game, that'll also be worth 1,500 stubs. But then if it's a complete game shutout, that'll be worth another 1,500 stubs, plus the 1,500 for both complete game and shutout separately. And then finally for pitching, if we throw a no-hitter, that'll be worth 5,000 stubs. And then if we throw a perfect game, that'll be worth another 5,000 stubs. So basically a perfect game is 10,000 because it's a no-hitter, but then it's a step up for being a perfect game. And we'll have a little bit more on that later, a little bit more of a clarification. So now let's talk about hitting. This is basically going to work the same way it worked last year with a few slight changes. But first off, every run we score will be worth 500 stubs. And then similar to the values on the pitching side, every total base will be worth 200 stubs. Every walk will be worth 200 stubs, and every hit by pitch will be worth 200 stubs. But then we're going to have a home run bonus worth 200 stubs. So basically a home run will be worth 1,000 stubs because you'll have 4 total bases plus the 200 stub home run bonus. Then every stolen base is also worth 200 stubs. Every 5 hits in a game will be worth 500 stubs, just a little bonus. It won't carry over game to game, it'll just be within each individual game. If we have a player hit for the cycle, that'll be worth 5,000 stubs. If we have a player that has a multi-home run game, that'll be worth 2,000 stubs. And then, if we have multiple players with multi-home run games, each player that has a multi-home run game, that'll be 2,000 stubs. Back-to-back home runs will be worth 1,000 stubs, plus another 1,000 stubs for each home run we add on in a row. So like back-to-back is 1,000, but then if we hit a third and it's back-to-back-to-back, that'll be worth 2,000. If we have a 10-run game, that'll be worth a bonus of 3,000 stubs. And then we got to take away something. So every strikeout at the plate will be worth minus 100 stubs. Next, we have a few bonus objectives. It's pretty simple. If we win the game, that'll be worth 1,500 stubs. If we win by a rage quit or mercy rule, that'll be worth an extra 1,500 stubs. Every 5 wins in the series, that'll be a bonus of 1,500 stubs once we get that 5th win. So, 5 wins, 10 wins, 15, 20, 65 wins. And then finally, every like on on the previous episode of Pack Attack, by the time I record the next one, will be worth 100 stubs. So if you like this video right now, you'll be adding 100 stubs to the stub count for the next one. So you guys matter. The more likes you leave, the more packs we can open. And if you're someone coming back from Pack Attack last year, you might be thinking right now, something's missing. But it is time to introduce the biggest change to Pack Attack this year. This is something I thought of so long ago, and I've been so excited ever since I thought of it. So man, I wish I would have started Pack Attack earlier, but we can't change that now. Introducing the multiplier. So last year, when it came to paralleling cards, I gave a one-time bonus when a card hit a certain parallel level. But the more I thought of it, the more it would make sense to have a continuous reward for getting players to higher parallels. So that's where the multiplier comes into play. Rather than a one-time stub boost, each parallel level on each individual card will be worth a multiplier tied to which parallel it is. So for example, parallel 1 will be a 0.005 or a 0.5% multiplier to the stubs we earn at the end of a game. Parallel 2 will be a 0.015 or a 1.5% multiplier. Parallel 3 will be a 0.03 or 3% multiplier. Parallel 4 will be a 0.05 or 5% multiplier, and then if we get a card to parallel 5, every game we'll be getting a 0.1 or 10% multiplier to the amount of stubs we made on that game. But that's not it. That's not the only thing that'll add to the multiplier. Winning or losing streaks will also add to the multiplier. It's pretty simple. Plus 0.005 or 0.5% per win, and minus 0.005 or minus 0.5% for each loss. So the more wins we build up, the higher the multiplier will be. The more losses we build up, the less the multiplier will be. So basically what we're going to do is at the end of each game, once we've tallied up all of our stubs, then we're going to have to add together the total multiplier by adding together all of the individual multipliers from our parallels. We're going to multiply our stub count by that multiplier, and then that'll be our new stub count for the end of the game. So basically, let's just say, for a simple example, we have one card on our team to parallel 5, and that's it. If that adds a 0.1 multiplier or 10% multiplier to our stubs, and let's just say we make 10,000 stubs at the end of a game, then we'll multiply that 10,000 by 1.1, and then our new stub count will be 11,000 stubs. So basically we'll have added 1,000 stubs purely for having a player on our roster that's a parallel 5. Alright, so we've talked about how you make stubs, we've talked about the multiplier. Now we're sitting there at the end of the game with a big pile of stubs. What do we do with it? It's pretty simple. We're going to spend all of those stubs on packs, and then any players we pull from those packs that are an improvement to the team will get added to the team going forward. But then what happens to the cards that we don't add to the team? That's where the stub bank will come into play. So it's pretty simple. The stub bank will be for any cards that we pull from the packs at the end of a game that don't make the team. I'm going to sell those cards, and then the stubs we make from selling those cards will go into the stub bank. And over the course of multiple episodes, that stub total in the bank will build up, and it'll get to a point where then we can spend stubs from the bank on more packs. So like if there's a special pack in the shop and we have enough stubs in the bank, we can open up one of those special packs. Or if we just want to open up a bunch of show packs, we can spend those stub bank stubs on that. The only thing is that when we're spending stub bank stubs, we don't then sell those cards from the packs we open from stub bank stubs to add more stubs to the bank, if that makes any sense, because then that'll just be a continuous cycle, you know? So once we spend the stub bank stubs, those stubs are spent. And then now one last thing before we get into opening the first pack. After running this series for 80 episodes last year, you kind of pick up a thing or two along the way that needs clarifying. So I felt like it'd probably be good to write down some miscellaneous rules so that certain things that might come up will be clarified before we get to that point. So the first rule is the final stub count after each game will be rounded up or rounded down to the nearest pack. and then any leftover stubs will be added to the bank, or any extra stubs needed to round up to the nearest pack will be removed from the stub bank. So obviously at the end of games, we're not going to have an exact amount of stubs to match up to the amount that a pack costs. So rather than those extra stubs just kind of ending up nowhere, we're just going to round up or round down. So each pack is worth 1,500 stubs, so basically 750 is the halfway point. If we're less than 750 stubs away from getting another pack, then we'll just round up, take those extra stubs out of the stub bank, and get an extra pack. If we're over 750 stubs away from getting another pack, then we'll round down, send any extra stubs back to the bank. I probably over clarified that. You guys probably already understood from the start. Let's move on to rule 2. And rule number 2 is pretty simple. If a player gets sold or removed from the roster at any point, he would need to be pulled again in order to be re-added. So at this point in the year, we're not going to get too many more roster updates, but let's just say I pull somebody, and at the time that I pull them, they're not a good card, but then a roster update happens and maybe they go up to a diamond. I can't just say, oh, I pulled this guy 3 episodes ago, we can add him to the team. We'd have to pull him again. Same goes for if somebody is in my lineup and then I pull an improvement to them, so I get rid of them, but then that guy that I got rid of gets an improvement or something, I can't just add him back. I would have to pull him again. Rule number 3, 3 innings pitched is the threshold for a complete game. That is what this game internally within the statistics decides to give you a complete game for. If the opponent quits before 3 innings pitched are completed, a second game will be played in the episode. And then of those 2 games, whichever game made the most stubs pre-multiplier from the hitting and pitching categories will be counted, and the other game will be thrown away. But stubs earned from the bonus category, so wins, rage quit, those sort of things, those will be counted from both games. I think that's pretty self-explanatory, so we can move on to rule 4. And this is where I said earlier we'd clarify later. For no-hitters and perfect games to count, if an opponent quits before the full 9 innings are played, at least 7 innings pitched must be completed. I just feel like I have to add this in here because chances are if somebody's being no-hit, they're probably going to end up quitting the game before you actually throw the no-hitter, unless it's like a 1-0 game and they think they can win. But also I feel like I can't just credit myself with all the stubs for a no-hitter or perfect game if somebody quits after like 4 innings. So we got to make it to 7 innings pitched for those no-hitter or perfect game stubs to count. However, that doesn't mean that if we throw 7 no-hit innings, that's automatically a no-hitter. You know, if the game continues and we give up a hit in the 9th, that's not a no-hitter and we don't get the stubs. It only comes into effect if somebody quits. Rule number 5, pretty quick, pretty simple. Free packs or packs that contain unsellable items cannot be opened to upgrade the team. So right now there's this Home Run Derby X pack in the shop, but it's free, so I can't just say, oh, we'll open this pack for the team and we add 4 diamonds. We're not going to do that. And then rule number 6, we kind of touched on this earlier. Cards pulled from packs bought using stubs from the bank that don't get added to the team cannot then be sold to add more stubs to the stub bank. Once stub bank stubs are spent, they're gone. And that's it. Those are all the rules. Those are all the stats. That's how everything in this series is going to work. I probably over-explained everything, but at least now we're all on the same page. We all know how it's going to work. We all know what we're rooting for. So now it's finally time to set our team for game 1. We're not just going to start with a bunch of commons. Game 1 will basically be a pack and play where we open a 10-pack bundle, and whatever we pull from this bundle, that'll be our team for game 1. So we got 10 packs, we got a silver topper, and this will be what the team is going to look like to start out the year. I want to save the silver topper for last. I'm not going to open that first. So let's get into these packs. First one of the 10. What do we got? Who's going to be the first players on our team? We get 2 commons and 2 bronzes. What a way to start. All right, 9 more to go. We still got plenty of time to get some good guys to start. Another 2 more bronzes and 2 more commons though. All right, man, we got to get that staple player. Who's going to make us stubs to start out, man? 3 more bronzes? None of these bronzes are even like good bronzes yet. At least we know we're going to get 1 silver, right? Oh, there we go. There we get a silver that way. It's Whit Merrifield. All right, this will be our 5th pack. Halfway through the bundle and another just couple bronzes here. At least they're over 70. 6th pack now. We got to get somebody. We got to get a big bat. Another 2 bronzes. Craig Kimbrell and Brad Hand. Brad Hand's a solid lefty, actually, in the pen. All right, only a couple more to go. 4 to go, or 3 after this one. Whoa! We're gonna be starting with somebody good. Who's it gonna be? It's just a purple, so it's not gonna be anything too insane. It's a Dodger, though. It's Will Smith. We're gonna have a diamond catcher in episode 1. What about the rest of the pack? Well, we got a backup catcher. All right, man, that is awesome. That's a great way to start. We're going to have somebody who's going to be actually able to make us some stubs to start. Then we get a 1 bronze out of a pack. I guess it all balances out. Only 2 to go. What can we get to round out this team a little bit more? We could use a couple more decent cards. Blake Snell, we're going to have a silver starter for game 1. All right. And then the last of the show packs, we've got another silver. All right, Alec Boehm. He's going to be a decent bat. And then to round it off, our 1 silver topper. 1 more silver player. Who's it going to be? I think shortstop is probably what we need most right now. And it is a silver, and it's going to be Andrew Vaughn. Not quite a shortstop. So this is it then. This is what the team is going to be looking like for game 1. I don't think I missed anyone, but I'll go back and check just to make sure. But I mean, we got a diamond and 3 silver bats. That's solid. The pitching is a little rough, but we got a silver starter. Bullpen's full of bronzes, except for 1 common. But this is not going to be how the team looks for very long. We're probably going to pull plenty of upgrades after game 1. But guys, I am so excited to finally start this series this year, and I hope you guys are too. So with that being said, again, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you can add as many stubs as you can before the next episode. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not already. You don't want to miss any of these pack attack games. But yeah, guys, that is it for this episode 0. Hopefully a good start. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.